You can finish an assignment in 10 minutes and still learn almost nothing from it. Not because the answer was wrong, because your brain never had to struggle for it. And if AI always thinks before you do, you may be training yourself to wait for answers instead of forming them. This is not a video about whether AI is good or bad. It is about something more uncomfortable. What happens when a tool removes the difficult part of learning? The part where you are confused, wrong, and forced to build an answer yourself. You have an assignment due tomorrow. You do not know how to begin. So you copy the question, paste it into an AI chatbot, and watch a complete response appear in seconds. The assignment is finished. But what exactly did your brain learn? Because there is a difference between completing a task and developing the ability to do that task yourself. And AI may be making that difference harder to notice. To be clear, this is not a story about lazy students. Students are under pressure. There are deadlines, exams, jobs, family responsibilities, and more information than any person can realistically process. If a tool can summarize a 50-page reading in 10 seconds, using it can feel less like cheating and more like survival. And sometimes it is useful. The problem begins when AI stops helping you think and starts thinking instead of you. Because learning is not just the moment when you see the correct answer. Learning is what happens before that. It is the confusion, the failed attempt, the awkward first explanation, the moment you realize you misunderstood something. None of this feels like progress while it is happening. But it is. Think of it like exercise. If a machine lifts the weight for you, you may finish the workout. You may even spend the same amount of time in the gym. But the muscle does not receive the same challenge. AI can do something similar to the difficult parts of learning. It can generate the first explanation before you have formed one. It can organize your argument before you have decided what you believe. It can correct your mistakes before you have even noticed them. And that is the danger. Not that AI gives you the wrong answer. That it gives you the right answer before your brain has had to build the path toward it. Here is where the whole thing turns over on you. A clear explanation can create the feeling that you understand something. You read it. It makes sense. The words feel familiar. The examples seem obvious. So you move on, but close the screen and explain the idea in your own words. Not the words you just saw. Yours. That is where the gap appears. The answer felt familiar because you had just read it. But familiarity can disappear the moment you need to produce the idea yourself. This is how a student can submit a polished essay and still be unable to explain the central argument. The work looks complete. The learning is unfinished. And the most unsettling part is that the student may not know the difference. You can feel like you are improving simply because the information in front of you is becoming easier to read. But sometimes you are not learning the idea. You are only becoming comfortable looking at it. This does not mean AI is useless. Used correctly, it can be an extraordinary learning tool. You can ask it to challenge your argument. You can ask it to identify the weakest part of your reasoning. You can ask for a counterexample. You can explain your answer first and ask the AI to find the gaps. That is AI acting like a tutor. But there is another way to use it. You give it the assignment. It writes the response. You copy the response. You submit the response. That is not a tutor. That is an answer machine. The difference is not whether AI appears somewhere in the process. The difference is who is doing the difficult thinking. If AI challenges you after you have tried, it can expand your thinking. If AI replaces your attempt, it can hide the fact that your thinking never happened. So the question is not whether you used AI. The question is, what part of the thinking did you give away? And this is not only an individual problem. Schools often reward the final product more than the process that created it. A polished essay receives a grade. A completed worksheet receives a grade. A correct answer receives a grade. But the internal process is mostly invisible. How long did you struggle with the idea? What did you misunderstand before you corrected it? Which assumption did you finally abandon? Those things are harder to measure. So when students use AI to produce cleaner answers more quickly, they are responding to the incentives around them. The system asks for finished work. AI produces finished work. But the result may be a strange trade. The student gets a better-looking answer in exchange for less practice producing one. And over time, that practice matters. Because the ability to think clearly is not a personality trait you either have or do not have. It is a skill. And skills become weaker when they are constantly outsourced. So how should you use AI without letting it replace your thinking? Try this for 7 days. Before asking AI for help, spend 5 minutes answering the question yourself. It does not need to be good. It does not need to be complete. It only needs to be yours. Then mark the parts you are uncertain about. Now ask the AI to critique your answer. Ask it, what is weak about this argument? What assumption am I making? What evidence would challenge me? What am I missing? Then close the AI and rewrite the answer again. Not by copying, by remembering. Think first. Ask second. Revise third. Explain last. And here's the test that tells you whether the process worked. If you cannot explain the idea after the AI disappears, you probably borrowed an answer instead of building understanding. AI can give you information. It can organize your thoughts. It can show you perspectives you had not considered. But it cannot decide whether the idea has become part of you. That still requires the slow part, the uncertain part, the part where you attempt an answer, discover the weakness, and try again. Maybe the real danger is not that AI will make everyone think less. Maybe the danger is that it will make avoiding thought feel exactly like progress. So the next time an AI gives you a perfect answer, do not only ask whether it is correct. Ask a more uncomfortable question. Could I have reached this answer without it? Because if the answer is no, then you may not have learned the answer yet. You may have only learned where to find it. And that's why new question drops Tuesday and again Friday. Keep asking.